Do you happen to be freezing? You can't move at all? You're screaming and no one can hear your call. You're dying to live. I don't even know what that means. But my diagnosis of the situation is this. You must be trapped under a 400-foot iceberg somewhere in the North Atlantic Ocean, near Newfoundland, in a location that will probably never be fully disclosed. However, your only chance of survival is a cruise liner, the largest of its kind of all time. It's going to come, this cruise liner is going to come loaded with some of the most brilliant minds of all time. Artists, poets, painters, musicians, laymen, and let's not forget, most notably, billionaire investors interested in free energy and the likes of Nikola Tesla. Now, because of the latter fact, your fate is sealed. That boat is going to come. You're going to say, oh my goodness, this boat's going to come rescue me, and guess what's going to happen? It's going to hit that berg. It's going to fall down into the ocean, creating an obstruction, an even further obstruction than you were experiencing before. And you will forever remain trapped under ice. Under Ice is the 5th song on Metallica's Ride the Lightning album. Now, it's considered to be one of the true B-sides of the album. One of 2 to be exact, with Escape being the other one. Now, even with that said, I think this song is incredibly enjoyable. It's got all the elements of a great song, particularly a great Metallica song. It has multiple key changes. It has a thrash rhythm that keeps it going like this the entire time. And it also has an intricate bridge section that ties it all together. The introductory riff goes like this. So we are in an E key center, or an E minor type of key center, and we're going with 2 quick palm mutes like this, and then going open A and D to 2nd fret A and D. Now that creates a perfect 4th interval, basically denoting a D chord, power chord, to an E power chord. So you're going from the flat 7 to the 1. The next 2 chords are going to be a D and an A chord in between the same E palm mute. Now these are more like the AC/DC style of power chords. So you have the D chord at the 2nd and 3rd fret of the G and the B with the open D on the bottom. And then an A power chord with open and 2/2, A string, D string, G string. Okay, so basic enough. And then at the very end of that intro, we hit this fast 16th note palm muted rhythm at the 2nd fret of the A string for a B. So that's the 5 chord. When the drums enter, we finally get into a little groove with this intro riff. What we're doing here is we have the same 2 fast E minor palm mutes with the D open power chord to the E, but instead we're adding a little bit more in between. So you're doing that twice, and then you're pulling off to the open A and D, and then you're hitting 2 times on the 3rd fret of the A and the D string. So the same exact sort of pattern, right? All perfect 4ths. Now with those 2 notes, C and F is an F power chord. So it's a flat 2 chord. One of those Phrygian chords that we've been talking about for quite some time now. The flat 2. Okay, so that adds a lot of tension and a lot of pull into the original key center. Alright, so let me play it slow for you. You got that open D, pull off to the F. Okay? Easy enough. So let's move on to the next part. So on top of that riff, we have some perfect 4ths moving in the high middle register of the guitar. Okay, so we're starting right up here at the 9th fret of the D and the G string. Okay, so perfect 4th interval starting on an E5. 11th fret, 12th fret, 14th, 17, 16. Do it again. and then at the very end you're going to spaz out on the 14th fret of the D string. Theoretically, all that happens is you're playing up an E minor scale in perfect fourths. Okay, so with that said, you need to have a C sharp in there. See this? The second one, you have a C sharp, which doesn't occur in the E natural minor scale. And that just means that this is a Dorian mode. But what makes this more interesting is the fact that the C sharp and that F sharp clash directly with the chord that's happening underneath. Now, if you remember from before, we were hitting an F natural. Now, these two notes up top are an F sharp 5. So we're creating this flat 9 dissonance between both of those notes. So while both guitars are playing, I want you to listen for that flat 9 dissonance when the F sharp and the F are playing simultaneously. The next rhythm guitar section that comes in underlines the solo and also acts as the verse riff, okay? And it also exemplifies the first key change of the song, because we're coming from E minor to an F sharp blues type of deal. So it's basically a fast 16th note thrash rhythm with a bunch of power chords. Now basically what we're hitting is we have our pinky on the 4th fret of the A string, and then we're going to hammer on the pointer finger to the 2nd fret for the F sharp. Now that's R1. All 16th notes. Now right after that little sequence, we come up to the 3rd fret of the A string for a C power chord, which is the flat 5, come down to the B, and down to the A, back to the B. Okay, so that's a blues type of run. Alright, because we're hitting the flat 5, the 4, the flat 3, and the 4. And we're doing the same thing with the pinky on the 4th fret and the open string coming on to the 2nd fret. Now, one other thing that I'll say is that B is no longer the 5 chord because we're in a completely different key. Alright, so since we were in E before, it was the 5 chord. Now that we're in F sharp, it's the 4 chord. Okay, so just something to keep in mind as we're moving through this. Throughout the course of the song, we have 3 thrash-style guitar solos. Real quick ones, too, so there's not too many notes we got to get through. But it is fast. Let's take a look at the very first solo that occurs in Trapped Under Ice. The first solo of Trapped Under Ice is comprised of a few different elements. The main element being the F sharp minor pentatonic scale. Now we've seen this scale shape plenty of times before throughout this series already, so hopefully you've been paying attention. The other elements that are involved are some descending patterns on the high E string that actually change the quality of the chord as it moves along. Now, as we know, the rhythm guitar is playing on an F sharp blues basis, okay? So pretty much anything on top of F sharp, anything really, can go. And you're going to see that that's a reality here. The first lick is just some classic Kirk spasms on an F sharp, okay? So we're at the 17th fret of the B string and a static 14th fret of the E string, the note F sharp. So we're on the root. So bada 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 bada. Boom, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You remember those pick strokes, you'll be able to get through that, no problem. Then right after that we have... Now that's Ride the Lightning and Kill 'Em All in a nutshell. So all we have is a pull off, pick, pick, pull off, and then we do a bend, little Chuck Berry, and then repeat those 3 notes, the 14th fret right at the end. That's the minor 3rd. So we're just going down the F sharp minor pentatonic scale. Pretty easy. And then we do this. I like to call those the train bends because it kind of reminds me of a train. You're bending the 16th fret with your middle finger, and you're holding a static 17th fret of the B with your ring. And then go down to the 14th fret and do a whole step bend on the 17th of the B string for the root note. Okay, so far all of it's just centered around F sharp. The beginning of the end to the solo goes like this. Alright, so that's just a big scale shape that changes quality as we move down. Okay, so we're starting off with this flat 7 to 1, and we're going up to the major 3rd. And then coming all the way down to the 12th fret. So that's like a mixolydian. But hold it, we're going down another whole step from there to the D, which is the sharp 5th. Alright, now I'm thinking this is like a whole tone. But then we hit the C sharp, which is the 5th, so it does resolve down to the 5th. And then we come down to the 4th, and then we just come down an F sharp minor scale until we get to the low E string, open. Alright, so real slow. So we start major, almost do a whole tone coming down, and then we end it in a minor scale. So that's kind of interesting. The last lick of the first solo just goes like this. Almost like an Alex Lifeson type of an idea. So we have the 5th fret of the high E string and the 4th fret in this pull-off pattern, and you're pulling off to the open E as well. So you have really an A, a G sharp, and an E, which is an E sus4. And that's on top of the F sharp, so I guess you can call that an F sharp minor 9 going down to the flat 7. Right? And that's just easy, you know, you're just doing downstrokes. Right? And then you're coming down here to the 5th fret and the 3rd fret and doing the same thing on the B string. Alright? Now those notes are E, which is the flat 7, D. Okay, we're seeing D again, that's the sharp 5, and then an open B, which is sus4. Now, I think the thought pattern here is just to use patterns that look intuitive, but aren't really in the scale. You know, remember, we don't have to really think too hard about this. We just have to know that it sounds good. And when you're playing notes this fast, you can make a lot of colorful stuff sound good, because it's going by so fast you don't even know what's happening. And then, of course, we have a dive bomb on the open G and B, and just rip that boy way down to Chinatown. So for the chorus, we experience another key change. We're actually going to the key of E major. So let's check out the riff. So we start off on a G sharp going to an A, which is the 3 to the 4 chord, and then hitting into an E. Now keep in mind the vocal is singing the exact same notes, the root notes. So we're going G sharp A to E, go there, a little double A, and then F sharp to G, back to the G sharp A, and then A, B flat A at the end for a flat 2 resolution. Now that's a lot of chromaticism going on. So let's check out what we're doing theoretically. So we're starting on the G sharp, which is the 3 chord, going to the A, which is the 4, alternating again, going to the 1 chord, which is the E, G sharp to A, 3, 4, 1, back to 4, then we're changing keys, okay? Now this is the key of D, but we're never going to D, okay? So we're hitting F sharp to G, which is 3 to 4, so it's a modulation. And then the 4 chord once again going right into the next key. Alright, so all chromatic resolutions here. And then the last 2 chords, A, B, flat, A. We're just creating a temporary Phrygian environment on the note A. It just works because the vocals are literally singing along with the root notes. And they don't waver at all. They keep going along with that, so both of those parts are following each other to a T. The second solo is going to be divided up into 4 different sections, the first of which has some whammy bar madness that's going to take us way down to the bottom of the ocean. So the best way to describe that is a canoe ride down Niagara Falls and then getting shot up to the moon right at the end. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. So to get down that Niagara Falls with this tiny little Tippy canoe, we have to do this 4-2 on the G string, right? Pull off, all right? And it's a trill, so you're going to trill between the 2 notes. Now, how you perform a trill is like this. So we're going to have our ring finger on the 4th fret and our pointer on the 2nd fret. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to pick the first note and then pull to the next. And then it's a continuous sequence of hammer-ons and pull-offs until you go real fast and hectic like that. Then we're going to depress the whammy bar until we can barely make out those notes. And then without even a second thought, you're going to slide up and spaz out on the B string like you're at the you're at Uncle Lenny's barbecue pizza emporium. The next section gets even more hectic. Here's the whole thing uninterrupted. So we're starting it off with some spastic alternate picking. Now when you're doing the spastic alternate picking, you have to make sure your forearm is very, very, very tight and your pick strokes are very tiny. So tight and tiny. And basically what you're doing is you're starting at the 17th fret and going down to the 14th of the B string and then coming up to the 18th fret. Which is really interesting because it creates a very, almost like an augmented type of sound. Something that doesn't quite sound within the key. Almost sounds like a Buckethead solo, 20 years before Buckethead ever existed. So we're going between the 17th and the 14th, which theoretically is the flat 7 to the 5, makes sense. But then the 18th fret is the major 7. Alright, so we're creating a minor major 7 chord out of this. And a flat 7 at the same time. That arpeggio would sound like this. So, very augmented because that does create an augmented chord. After that we have this really, really, really fast scale run where you're just continuing the spastic pattern until we reach a climax, or actually, I'll call this an anti-climax because it's really low on the fretboard. The notes are a little too low to be a climax, so it's going to be like whatever the opposite of a climax is. So we're going like this. It's a Jimi Hendrix lick at the bottom of that. And basically you're just starting up at the 17th fret, going 17, 16, 14, that's 3, 2, 1, and then 17, 16, 14, flat 7, 6, 5, so this is a Dorian mode, and then down the pentatonic scale, where you finally take a break down at the 16th fret of the A string, where we do that little Jimi Hendrix type thing at the bottom. And you got to catch that Jimi Hendrix lick right at the end there, so make sure you're spazzing out in the right time, and you stop to give it a little Jimmy flick right at the end. Third part of the solo goes like this. So we just have a stereotypical kill 'em all type of slide pentatonic. Alright, so you're sliding into the F sharp. Alright, totally textbook, right? And then we're hitting this. That's your train, or it's almost like you're on a horse. We discussed this earlier, so I'm not going to talk about it again. And then we finally get to hit the ending, which is just a series of slides and picks, right? So you're sliding into the 16th fret of the D string, and then picking the 14th fret of the G. So always repeatedly slide back into that 16th fret to get the articulation. Now, what you want to do is you slide in with a downstroke, then down, up, down for the triple 14, then slide, double on the 14, and then single, and end it off with a 17th fret bend on the B string, up into the root note to cap off the whole thing. Okay, so moving into the bridge, we have this little tag at the end of chorus 2 that we need to deal with. Alright, so we play the chorus exactly how we would. Let's just pretend it's toward the end, right? I'm trapped under ice. And then right into the bridge from there. Now let's take a look at the chords. So you just do the trapped under ice chords 2 times. So you're doing the A to B flat back to A. B flat, G, A. It's almost as if you're modulating temporarily to the key of F, because you're hitting the B flat, which is 4, G, which is 2, A is 3, F, 1. and then right back into E minor. And that's a pretty slick key change because you're coming from what would be the flat 2 of the E chord in the F. So the bridge riff sounds a lot stranger and a lot more odd than it actually is, alright? It's probably because of the chords that they decide to use. They're a little bit disjointed. It almost makes it feel like the form is in groupings of 3s instead of 4, but it's in 4. So it starts off like this. Right back to the beginning, see? Sounds like something's missing, but it's not. Alright, now the first time it only goes twice. That riff again repeats a little bit later, but it goes 4 times. So let's take a look at what we have here. So we have, that's the first measure where we're going bum ba da bum. That's down, down, up, down on the low E string. 1 and a 2 and right? 1 and a 2 and 4. Now you're going up to a G power chord. Now what this does is it creates an E minor 7 chord, just with those 3 notes, right? So you have the E here, and then E, G, and D. So that's 1, flat 3, flat 7 to make up the E minor 7th chord, alright? Very bluesy sounding, very bluesy. Reminds me of like Kansas, right? But, you know, it's the same sort of deal, but in Trapped Under Ice. The next measure goes like this. Alright, so basically you're just doing mostly open 8th notes, all downstrokes, going C, B, A, G sharp, with the A and the G sharp palm muted, and then F, E, C, B. Now I see this as being in like an E major, alright, but a Phrygian dominant, okay? So you have C, B, A, G sharp, that's A harmonic minor, which would make the E the dominant 5. And then you have F, E, C, B, which is a, you know, that's a flat 2 resolution, right? Or flat 9. If you have a flat 9 on top of an E chord, it makes it incredibly dramatic. So after we get through those 4 notes, we hit, that's just a classic E to D power chord, 1, flat 7. But then immediately after that we go down to the B flat, which is the tritone to the E. Alright? Now a tritone is a very demonic interval. It sounds like the devil. It sounds like Satan's gonna come and eat your ass. So you got B flat to E, B flat to E. Pretty demonic. We go on to repeat that again, and then we go into this. This is sort of like a bridge verse. Repeat that 4 times, right? We're only going to do it twice. Chord-wise, it's just 1, flat 7, flat 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, or flat 3, 2, 1. So couldn't get any more basic theoretically. And yeah, the vocals don't really deter from that either. It's very diatonic. Now this is your stereotypical 1, flat 7, flat 6, 5 chord progression. This happens in so many songs, especially metal songs. Listen to an Iron Maiden album and tell me how many times you hear this chord progression. It's going to happen so many times that you're going to go completely insane and jump out your window. So after that bridge verse, we just come back into this again. But this time, we play it 4 times. Right? Now, on the very last time, we extend the B flat with that bum, ba-da, bum, ba-da, bum, ba-da, bum, ba-da, bum, that gallop, A, and then 16ths. And 1 more extra time on that run with the single notes. So it's just an interesting little tag, a transition to get us into the next part of the song, which is solo number 3. So the third solo starts off with a very fluttery type of pentatonic lick, starting at the 14th fret, 17th, and 19th on the E string, and occasionally going down to the 17th fret of the B string for the transition back into it. So it sounds like this. So you want to make sure that you're getting that hammer-on and pull-off action going on first. So I'm actually starting it over on the 17th fret, and we're going and almost doubling up on that 14th, right? And then coming down to the 17th, and then bending at the peak right at the 19th fret for that whole step bend up into the 5th of the scale. So to get the perfect articulation on that section, you want to start at the 17th fret, flutter down to the 14th, right? And then you want to hit an upstroke back into another flutter. Alright, so you're going down, up, 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 bend. Alright, and once you speed that up, sounds like this. Pretty easy. This next lick I'm not going to spend too much time at all on because it's just a stereotypical kill 'em all, ride the lightning style, early Kirk Hammett style pentatonic lick. Very easy, just pull-offs and double triple picks when applicable. And then we hit a few more of these 16, 17 bends, right? Which we know either sounds like a train or a horse. Whichever one, you can choose. Okay, now we have almost the nonsensical portion of the program. We do some very, very fast pull-offs on the 12th, 10th, and 9th frets of the E string, and then the 12th and the 10th fret of the B string, okay? And kind of dipping down into the 9th as well, but you're keeping that same thing going as you're pulling off, right? So we're going like this. So that last part is a little obscured, and that's for a reason, because there's too many notes in there to hit cleanly. So you're going like this. You're pulling off from 12, 10 to 9. Now theoretically this is just going down the flat 7, the flat 6, and the 5, down the scale till you hit the minor third. So you're going 12 to 10 to 12, 12 to 12, 12, and then down what's almost like a C sharp minor pentatonic scale to finish it off. Now this ending is incredibly crazy. It's a lot of spastic notes. You're not even really thinking about what you're hitting here. So we're actually going all the way up to the 19th fret of the A string as sort of the transition out of that fast lick in the pentatonic. So we're going. Alright, so did you get all that? Just spaz your way through those notes and honestly you'll be fine. It's going up an F sharp minor Dorian scale. So right, you're coming up to a B, which is the 4th, but then right down to the root, to the 9th, and then up that pattern from that point. And you're actually ending this scale on the flat 7th scale degree, which doesn't really sound all that final, especially not for the final solo in the song. I don't get it. Coming out of solo 3, we just come back into the verse again, which is the same as the solo rhythm, right? And then we hit another chorus, but this time it's a double chorus, so repeat the chorus the entire time. And then at the end of that double chorus, we go like this. We extend the flat 2 resolution, and then we come right back into the riff. Right? So just seamless key changes right there, especially at the ending. But yeah, we're going A, B flat, A, and then just riding on it with 16th notes. So nothing really too fancy, it's just a matter of how many times you do it before you hit B, G, A, and then we head right back into the F sharp for the final section of the song, which goes like this. Well, we made it through the entirety of Trapped Under Ice. We learned the rhythm guitar parts, the solo rhythm, the verse rhythm, the chorus rhythm, all those rhythms that James plays with his tight-ass right hand. We learned all the solos. We learned an intricate bridge section. We also learned all of Kirk's spastic, hellfire, face-melting licks that, well, in this case, would not melt our faces because we are trapped in an icy tomb, destined to be frozen for eternity. Okay, so even though we learned this song, we're still trapped under a giant iceberg in the middle of the Northern Atlantic. However, there is a little bit of hope. If you go to my subscribe star and you donate $1, the ice might get chipped away a little bit. If you donate $5, it's going to get chipped away a lot of bit. If you donate 50, well, I might come down there with a blowtorch myself and put myself in grave risk. So, something to think about. www.subscribestar.com/RomanOva music. You can also go on my website, book lessons, buy some cool stuff, and just support this channel in any way that you can. In order for me to keep doing these videos, well, I need some patronage. I need some extra support in order to keep it going, okay? Alright, with that said, I'll see you on the next one where we're going to be making our escape. Is this a concept album?